while modernizing the infrastructure is a core element for redesigning the scaling ecosystem, the core value also lies in the curriculum which is supporting this infrastructure. Which brings me to my next panel. Curriculum for future ready, inclusive and industrialized skilling. Inviting our panelists to the stage, Mr. Shrikant Sinha from TASC. Can you please welcome our panelists to the round of applause? Mr. Mahendra Payalji from Vice President of NSCC. Ms. Priya Sudharaman, co-founder of Dhira, an organization which is empowering India with financial literacy. She will join us next minute. And Mr. Zabur Bhatt, who is the representative of Jammu and Kashmir industry. We also have with us on VC Ms. Mona Gupta, the CEO of Home Management and Caregivers Sector Skill Council. Do we have her? I think I have a over to you. This session will be moderated by Vijay from GDI.
Thank you so much. Welcome you all to this panel discussion. And I just would want to start from the previous panel discussion where Mr. Rango Singh talked about the importance of curriculum, right? And he said the curriculum should be designed before talking about infrastructure, right? And it is no coincidence that today we'll be talking about curriculum for a future-ready, inclusive, industry and skilling ecosystem. It just happens that it's falling after the skilling infrastructure discussion. So as we move from textbook learning to a more real-world relevant curriculum, the question is not about what we teach, but rather whether it prepares learners for a world that's constantly changing. Right? So today, as Jammu and Kashmir continues to deepen its skilling ecosystem, the next big challenge and opportunity is ensuring that the content reaching the learners is not just accessible, but is also relevant, aspirational, and future-ready. So if skills were to be the new currency, in a world of uncertainty and of course opportunities, then a future-ready curriculum is the best investment we can make. And to make this investment count, we must really rethink on not just what we teach, but how we structure the learning itself. But future readiness cannot be defined by technical skills alone. And the demands of the new age workforce, especially in the face of automation, climate disruptions, and a growing gig economy, calls for a broader skill set, and that's where the 21st century life skills come in, which includes critical thinking, problem solving, communication, etc. So this panel discussion brings together various national, state, and sectoral leaders to unpack the central question. What does it take to build a skilling curriculum that is responsive to the economy of tomorrow while being inclusive of the realities that learners face today? So quickly, I'll just take the honor of introducing the panelists. As India's skilling landscape evolves, it is increasingly clear that employability is not just about technical knowledge, but about creating a well-rounded and industry-ready individuals. So at the heart of this transformation lies the need for structured collaboration between government, academia, and different bodies. So one of the leading efforts in this direction is being driven by Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge, the TASC. So it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Shrikant Sinha, the CEO of TASC. Creating a curriculum that is both future-facing and inclusive requires not just innovation at the classroom level, but more systemic reforms across policy. And with us today, we have Mr. Mahendra Singh Payal, Executive Vice President and Chief Program Officer at NSDC, who brings over 20 years of leadership experience across public policy, defense, IT services, and workforce development. And as we reimagine curriculum to be more inclusive and life relevant, Financial literacy emerges as a powerful tool, and we have Ms. Priya, the co-founder and board member of Vira. Yeah, I think she just joined. And yesterday we did talk about the role of sectoral skill councils, and to continue further and to get more inputs from the sectoral skill council, we have Professor Ms. Mona Gupta, the CEO of Home Management and Caregivers SSE. So she is the CEO of the Sectoral Skill Council, which caters to over 20 million workforce of informal gig and self-employed migrants. So Ms. Mona has joined us online. And we did talk a lot about private sector contribution and how industries play a big role in designing curriculum and also co-owning certain initiatives. So we have industrial sector represented by Mr. Zahul. So Zahulji is the managing partner of Timber Products and also the IMC chairperson. So welcome you, sir. So my first question goes to Mr. Mahendra Singh Payal. So let's just start by breaking down what future readiness actually is. As we look ahead for the next 5 to 10 years, what do you think would be the sectors and job roles that should be a core focus in the skilling efforts so that we stay relevant in today's time?
If you don't mind, okay, so thank you for this state of JNK for inviting me here, and thank you very much, Ms. Alam and the Chief Secretary sir who was here, I think, for all the 2 days, and we hope to see him later in the evening. To answer this question, actually this is one of the few seminars that I have not prepared a script, because there are a lot of things which I am still struggling to answer about this future skills and what it means. In one way, if you say future skills, does actually it relate to the future of youth of JNK? And actually, how many go through that much of studies, advanced studies or B.Tech or diploma? What is the proportion of children who actually every year who leave education, and how many are actually who will go into future skills? Where are most of the people going? So does it actually align with the future of the youth in our state or in our country? And I am saying this because just yesterday I was making some comments for a presentation which we had from Mr. Vilmani, who was a member of the Niti Aayog. So, say about 1 crore students, if they enroll in this country every year, about 46 lakh will only clear 12th. So, what is the future for them? So, that is also a question to answer before we launch into future skills. This future skill per se, what is future skills, preparation, what it means is easy one to answer. I can just pick up this year's WEF study, and I can tell you from there that just give me a second. So what they said is that this all whatever survey they did early this year, they said big data specialization, fintech engineers, AI and machine
Please
learning.
enter your PIN number followed by the hash key.
software and application developer, security management specialist, data warehousing, autonomous and electric vehicles, UI and UX developer, light truck or delivery service driver, Internet of Things, these kind of jobs. Then we have closer home National Council for Vocational Education and Training, and they have defined some 600 plus 617 to be precise job roles which are emerging technology, which go into what I just spoke about, but also goes into the sector like green, waste recycling, and obviously IT, IoT, AI. So this what NCBT has done, and then the schemes which we run through government and otherwise, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and through other schemes we are trying to run these courses and trying to promote them. So this is answers I think one part of it, what means for future skills. But then if you say future skills, the other dilemma is that gig economy is also where the future is going. So contractual worker without any steady job, working on platforms. So that is also another part of future jobs or future skills. But leaving this question apart, generally it is believed what I just spoke about the job roles and 700 odd job roles created by NCBT around AI, IoT, green energy, solar technology, hydrogen mission. So these are also being counted as future skills. I said that yes, some of them we are trying to take up through government funding, and we also saw something about what Mr. Arun Pillai also said, large amount of investment by the private industry. I also happened to see Symbiosis University and others where also we found a lot of investment in future skills, as also if you go to Odisha, you will find that World Skill Center which they have created. So a lot of infrastructure is coming, which is very costly. I think World Skill Center in Odisha costs about 500 crores. So, but I think to my perspective, it will have to go into education. Because the problem, although we are trying to take up it in PM, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and other schemes, but at our level or the people that training provider which we deal with, I don't think they will make this kind of investment into those skills which require high tech, high well-read faculty and long-term investment. So the answer first is that it will have to go to the education. I think these courses, and I see from the experience of NSDC Academy, these courses are being included as modules in higher education in graduation and post-graduation. That is one way to go. Second is obviously at least the IT courses, they are generally online, so the licensing and course fee is little higher, so that through voucher scheme or scholarship or through subsidizing, you can give them, the students, these courses. Third, and I hope Dr. Akashan spoke about it yesterday, third is to train in industry premises where all these machines are likely to be available through apprenticeship. These are 3-4 ways in which we can move ahead for training in future skills. Unfortunately, except solar sector, jobs are also slow to come up. So that's why you'll find somebody said that we are running these courses, but their students are not coming up. I have seen this at least in drone. So we also 2-3 years back when the government announced the drone policy, and we thought there would be a lot of takers, but it is coming up but slowly. So we try to train a lot of people, but the industry and the manufacturing association that we don't have the capacity to take so many people. We are doing a lot of courses for drone applications which require a pilot license, but there also in agriculture and other things the uptake is slow. So to summarize, what is future skills? I just said that how we can implement them. That also 3 ways I said either go to education or go to the industry. And third and fourth thing that see exactly whether it meets your requirement or not, and the jobs are slow to come up in this case. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, sir. So, just to build on that, my next question is for Mr. Priya from Iraq. So, among the many life skills, I think Mr. Mahendra Singh also discussed a lot of skills that are very relevant to future readiness, right? So, he has placed a strong emphasis on financial literacy. And what made this the central lever in your whole game of change?
See, in the sessions that we had before, so people spoke about IoT, people spoke about semiconductor skills and so on and so forth. But every single one had one common thread. That was, financial management, understanding finance. So to me, money and wealth are very contextual. And to me, financial literacy is actually foundational. It's an enabler. And lack of that enabler, for example, so when you come across people who don't have basic financial literacy skills, what happens is you see overborrowing, you see overspending. More importantly, you see that those people actually get a lot more taken in by frauds. They're very vulnerable to frauds. So that is something that we see all the time. And from a country perspective, so that is the individual, right? Because guaranteed schemes, they will put their money, they will do things that because they simply do not understand how to compute how to sort of compute a return on a product. Think about it as a country. Now, we're talking a lot on technology. NVIDIA, the chip company's market capitalization is $4 trillion. That is India's GDP. And we're talking about one company in America. So what has happened from an India perspective? Why are we not there? All our money, which is our forced saving for the longest time, has actually gone into provident fund. We've got a fixed income, 8%, 9%, whatever it is. We've never used our money to actually push India forward from a capital formation perspective. So for me, and look at it the other way around, right? If we do have financially literate people, and when I say financial literacy, I don't mean that you need to do 10 courses. It is literally 2 hours of your time, and therefore you will understand how to manage your money slightly differently. That's all we need. Slightly differently, and I sort of, in a way, I always sort of talk about the fact that if people are financially literate, you can actually make a very tangible improvement in the way you look at life. The whole, if you start saving little amount of money, but you understand what compounding means, at the end of your 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is your work life, you actually save substantially more, and you can do it in a very simple way. What happens from an India effect? So one is when there's no capital formation among all of us, India suffers. If there is a lot, if we all understand what we need to do with our money, and again in very simple ways, India benefits because there is a multiplier effect there. Everybody takes good financial decisions. Anecdotally, I do think that the GDP of India can actually go up by 1%. And the third part is, if people become financially literate, there is also an intergenerational transfer of financial knowledge. Now think about Indian women, right? Indian women have 11% of the world's gold. So it's not the Indian government, it's Indian women who have 11% of the world's gold. The next 5 countries, including US, including everybody else, put together, and Indian women's gold is about 24,000 tons of gold. And all of these 5 countries put together don't have more than 12,000 tons. So where have these women learned? That is intergenerational knowledge. They just come from their mother, it has come from their grandmother. So financial literacy, I do believe, can actually result in intergenerational transfer of knowledge. The last portion is inclusion in formal financial systems, because today if you see, almost everybody tells you that when you're it doesn't matter unless you're a really big entrepreneur. Money is in short supply. Almost everybody will tell you that we are not getting money, we are a micro entrepreneur, we are a nano entrepreneur, we are not getting money. Why has that not happened? That's because the literacy levels, you know your own business, but you don't necessarily know how to run your business. What is the financial aspect of that? Taxation, taxation separate. But just look at basic cash flows. Do you understand how cash flows work? So that's a very simple thing, but it's exceedingly important for the long-term well-being of your business. So that is why we have made financial literacy as a theory of change.
Thank you so much, Ms. Priya. I think two key takeaways from that. How financial management contributes to the individual and household level by being an enabler, and how it contributes to the larger economy, which I think is the motto of creating a vibrant skilling ecosystem as well. So thank you so much. And clearly, we understand that embedding the right skill at a learner level can be transformative, but for this to happen at scale, there are certain systemic enablers that must also evolve. And this is where I would like to bring Professor Mona Gupta. So, as part of sectoral skill councils, so what are the kind of inputs that sectoral skill councils have contributed, and if you can be specific or contextualized to J&K, especially in the context of model curriculum, how can we adopt it and what are the key factors we need to take into consideration?
Thank you. Thank you for this platform to talk about a sector, the Home Management and Caregiver Sector Skill Council. A unique council that was set up catering to the care economy. The word care economy may have been relatively new, but this council was set up about 10 years back to complement the complete spectrum of skilling for all the subsectors that come under it. We cater to approximately 20 and as on date 22 million workforce, and this sector is at a critical juncture. So I will be also answering your questions specifically relevant to J&K and with respect to inclusivity for future ready skills. We just need to understand this very brief background that traditional family and community-based caregiving models are no longer adequate to meet the growing needs of the economy. I'm talking not of the society here, but the economy. Society definitely, but the economy. Currently, it is estimated that it is contributing about 1% of the GDP. And if we skill this workforce for employment, for formal employment, it could go up to 2% of the GDP. That's an estimate, right? Now, we are seeing that India is on the verge of a grey tsunami. 350 million children expected by 2050 and 300 million elderly. Now, caregiving is no longer unpaid, unskilled. It is no longer family-based. It is a profession. The sector has leapfrogged into a huge formal economy with a lot of industry participating to cater to formal contracts and jobs, It is gradually moving from the low-paying, low-quality, unskilled kind of a segment to skilled, demand for skilled workforce. Be it home care, be it institutional care, be it any kind of care, direct or indirect, across the spectrum. And this is where HMCG has stepped in as an organization. We have been set up under the umbrella and the aegis of National Skill Development Corporation and the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And we are leapfrogging by setting up qualifications and job role, which are not only NSQC aligned, but enable them to have technology built in. Now, this technology is being co-piloted with the courses that we are doing. Another example I would give you here is, now all our courses include soft skills, basic skills, even financial literacy, what my co-panelist has just mentioned, because these are all important for a progressive growth for any individual. And we have on-job training. On-job training, which was never thought about in our sector, which has been largely informal, it is now mandated in many of our future job roles. While these job roles may sound very natural or very traditional, all these job roles are now bringing in mechanized, digitized, and new technology aspects as and when we are rationalizing. So that is one thing we are doing. Secondly, Even with respect to J&K, while Pan-India we've done about 2.5 lakh trainings Pan-India, in J&K itself we have done 3,500 trainings, out of which major trainings have been in the caregiving sector, which was just concluded last year. Also, we have done pilots for childcare, and these are all the aspects which have been well taken across J&K, because by itself, the state has approximately 2 million elderly, 2 million elderly, and approximately the same number of children. Homestays, short stay, tourism, whatever may be the sector, our sector is a driving force, I would say. Also an enabler. So both a driver and enabler. Creating employment and entrepreneurship is a big, we could say, opportunity going forward. This sector has also been identified, and I'm quoting the World Economic Forum report, as one of the 4 fastest growing sectors world over. It's approximately estimated to be a $7 billion economy. And to cater to this, what we are also doing is, we are trying to now incorporate international mobility with international best practices to enhance the capability of our workforce who want to and wish to migrate overseas. Of course, the migration has to be safe and orderly migration. So these are I hope I have answered the question completely. These are the ways that we are taking it forward. Another thing that we incorporate, which has been well guided to us by the NCVET, has been incorporation of soft skills. We are also looking at incorporation of rights and duties, because these enable the workforce not only to progress in their career, but also to have decent, well-paying job. That is from that.
Thank you, Dr. Mohan. I think key highlight here was how do you think about the informal or the traditional sector workforce also, and what kind of life skills can be imparted to them so that they graduate to a much more formalized and institutionalized sector.
Absolutely. And 90% of this workforce are women actually. So this directly and indirectly increases women participation in labor force. So that has a huge impact both directly and indirectly on the GDP of India.
Thank you so much. So I'll just quickly move to Mr. Srikanth Sinha. While these frameworks and curriculums that are established at national level try to set a direction, but the real impact lies in how they are actually translated on ground. And from your experience working with tasks, what are the systemic interventions or institutional structures that have really helped to translate these frameworks to tangible impacts on ground?
Sure. Thanks, Sujay. And thank you again. I think everyone has got bored seeing me and listening to me again and again. But so I keep it very, very crisp. When we talk about all this ministry of frameworks, etc., and everything else, and having been in my past Sarkar the CEO of the National Foundation, I was also the governing council member of ITITES Secretarial Council. And I used to find out that one question everyone used to fail, right? 90%, 95% plus students used to not be able to answer that question. And that question was, if you are on the shop floor, and this was a financial accounting, journal accounting modules, Ministry of job roles. If you are on the shop floor, where you will find the fire extinguisher, right? Anyone who has never worked anywhere would never be able to say where it is, right? And it was a fill-in-the-blanks question. The objective type hota to you classify and choose one of them, right? But this was an objective type question. And the answer for that was at eye level, right? No one would think about it, though it is logical. So, thing is, you have to ensure that whatever the content is there, how are you going to contextualize it in terms of the deliveries? That's the very first thing. So, while the SPF, etc., and the frameworks, and I was very happy, when NCVT came up with the batch system, NSTC came up with a batch system, you had platinum and all the certifications, etc. So, a lot of work has already happened, right? It is our duty at different places to implement it, apply it. Skills universities are the lighthouses, right? But every institution must have skilling as part of it, as mentioned also in the NEP. It is very, very important for that. I keep on repeating myself, but yes, hands-on experience is a must. We need to ensure that people do the NAPS internship or NATS and all these things, apprenticeship, internship, using the TVET kind of a model. I think that is where implementation should happen. Extremely happy that NSDC made the criteria, and especially I see my friend has just stepped out of the room, the Electronic Sectors Council CEO. We are India's largest and the #1 ESDM trading partner for telecom and electronic sectors council. We even took over the targets of Kerala and we delivered them. The difference over there was that they made it a point that it has to be industry-led. Training has to be in the industry. I think that is what is most important. Ages ago, more than about 1.5 decade ago, I used to run a skilling program for bankers. Right? At that time, 85% of India was not even banking, it was 15% which was banking. So we created a model which was college to corporate, corporate to industry, industry to company. And that was ICSI, Manipal Academy, Baroda Manipal School of Banking, Access, etc. Where we used to ensure that everything is done hands-on. Just to give you a very simple example, right? And you can contextualize it as per your own thing. I never knew, and we are running with this for you also, that a check or a draft could bounce. After so many years of work experience, I never knew that. When we started training our students over there, and these were graduates, engineering graduates, diploma graduates, etc., we found out that they could look at a check and there were 27 checkpoints over there in a draft or a check when it can bounce. For example, a draft, normally you say draft, it's good as cash. No. If the signatory doesn't have power for that amount, it will not be valid. If the date is passed, it will not valid. If the digit that the text words is not the same, it will bounce. So there are multiple conditions. 5 minutes we used to not even be able to manage to clear one check or draft. What we did, how many of you have played Candy Crush? I'm sure a lot of people would have played Candy Crush. We used and created a game from Candy Crush. Right? 4 months later, they were able to pass 27 checks for draft a minute. Right? It's a skill. You can teach it. And that is where the difference comes in. You should be able to make it interesting for people. How can you implement it? You have to think out of the box. And my humble suggestion to everyone is make education or learning, whatever you want to call it, interesting for people. Have as much as possible hackathons. Research industry wants it as of yesterday, academia wants it after 5 years. Do hackathons, they're the best. Take up real industry problems, get your students to solve it. That is how, actually an SDF, etc. can be implemented on the ground. And that's where it will be value. Talking about the gig economy, I think that's moving ahead. That is going to be the future probably. Because problem क्या होता है, यहाँ पे कश्मीर में आप पहले भी देखते हो, whenever there is someone who is rowing the boat, right? He sits in this way and he rows this way. Which is the direction he is heading in? That way. Right? So trying to see the past that you have covered, you are trying to predict the future. Correct? Today, when a student takes admission in the first year of college, by the time he passes out, 60% of the job roles will be not even existing. And that is the reality today. Our curriculums have to be updated regularly. Dependence of theory has to completely go off. Focus more on application, focus more on strengthening the fundamentals. As I said, आज पाइथन में कल कोबरा होगा परसों पता नहीं क्या होगा, right? And that is where proper implementation can happen. Of course, the BDP thing that I spoke about earlier is different, and my humble submission to all the educators here is on something that Mona and also Dr. Mona also, Professor Mona mentioned, is it's very, very crucial for all our students. While apprenticeship can happen or project can happen in the final years, etc., a social internship must be done after the first year itself. That is very, very important for people to understand value, because today our education system is not conveying the right values, and it's important for us to ensure that we have a holistic growth of the student or the youth. So that's what I would like to mention.
Thank you so much, Srikanth. I think I've been asking a lot of questions. I'll just answer one question that you posted. If you are bored of you, so absolutely not. I think the real life anecdotes that you bring in are really interesting, and that's what you talked about also. How do we keep it interesting for the audience who are listening at the end of the day, right? So quickly, I will just want to build on that and then move to Ms. Priya. So you've been working with trainers, and trainers are essentially designed to deliver these content, right? Like Srikanth ji said, it's important to deliver it the right way, deliver it considering the audience in mind, right? So, and one of the key things is how do we bring all the trainers on the same page, right? So there could be disparities between trainers because of the capacity at which they start off with. So how do you address this challenge, and how do you ensure this standardization?
See, I'm not a fan of standardization. Some level of consistency is required, but standardization means nothing. You know, each finger has to look different because it has different functions. And I am a financial services person, so I'm going to talk about training in the context of financial services. So financial services, the way I see it, you don't just train. For example, if you're a semiconductor plant operator, you learn certain skills and you have to deliver that. But financial services is not like that. So it's not that you just have to learn. So if you're a relationship manager in a bank, you don't just learn the product that the bank is supposed to sell. You are going to learn communication. You are going to learn negotiation. You are going to learn also some level of ethical conduct, because money, you know, it can be made very easily, it can be lost very easily. And I keep giving the example of, say, General Motors in the States, which has been looking at bankruptcy for almost, I think, 20 years. But they have never gone bankrupt. And equally, there's Lehman Brothers, which could not, you know, which is still the world's largest bankruptcy. It could not refinance on Thursday, it filed for bankruptcy on Sunday. So that's really the way financial services moves. Large banks can actually shut down in 2 days if there's a run on the bank. So when you think about financial services, it is not just the product, it is also a bunch of other things that you need to learn. You need to have some kind of emotional quotient as well. So if all the people that actually work in financial services need very, very different skills and not just their product skills, then what do the trainers need? Trainers actually need, and I go back to what Srikanth said, trainers need to teach in a very interesting way. And they also need, and there's a lot available these days. With technology, you can actually personalize a lot. You can make your teaching modular, you can personalize, you can do a bunch of things, but they need to understand what is it that the person requires. So you can't go 0 to 100 for each person individually. There will be a base minimum which will be common to everybody, but beyond that, I think it's important to understand what the person actually needs. And I actually learned that not from any company or corporate. I learned it from a school. There's a school called Rishi Valley in Andhra Pradesh. Some of the people in Andhra might have heard about that school. They have a curriculum, obviously, there's an ICSE curriculum, but they actually teach with examples. And the first exposure that I had when I went to that school was Kaho Na Pyar Hai was blaring out of certain, it was blaring, and I was quite surprised because it's a Hindi film song. And their answer to that was, they are in the South. Hindi is a lot more difficult to imbibe because you're not hearing it every day. And the easiest way that you could learn Hindi was through Hindi film songs. So they were teaching through Hindi film songs. They were teaching Hindi. It was an extra lecture in Hindi. But that was the easiest way for people to imbibe. So to come back to your question, that you can't have, I don't think you should have standardization. You necessarily have to have different learning pathways. Some level of consistency, but beyond that, different learning pathways, and the most important, local language. Because what you don't want to do is have everything in English, right? The barrier of people, the barrier, the first thing which comes is, oh, मुझे अंग्रेजी नहीं पता, फिर मैं क्या करूँ? मुझे ये आएगा ही नहीं. ऐसा नहीं होता. भारत में ज़रूरी नहीं है कि सबको अंग्रेजी आना चाहिए. You are able to if you are able to communicate in a way that you are empathizing with the opposite person, that's all you need. So I think the learning has to necessarily be in the local language, in a way that actually gives what that person needs, rather than sticking to something that, banking. The reason why I keep bringing English is because banking is always considered as something to be done in English. Why? It's not required. We need to look at it in a very different way. Multilingual methods of teaching is where I think India should be heading. I think that's critical, because you take away the English barrier. You start, and we do financial literacy, right? Try explaining to somebody a credit line. I say udhar, they understand like this. I say compound interest, blank. I say byaj pe byaj, immediate recollection. Inflation index, mehengai, everybody knows. So that is the way I think we need to go forward. Thanks, Vijay.
Thank you, Mr. Priya. I think the importance here is to understand how the local context precedes over anything that's been rolled out nationally or so. And I would just like to invite Mrs. Thakur here to add his views. So, what do you think, in the context of J&K, and again touching upon customization, how do you think the industry sector can contribute to this whole activity of curriculum creation?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. Good afternoon to everyone here. I will talk from the industry, and I will request everyone, please listen me carefully. Skill development and the curriculum is the agenda which has been given to me. I think before the curriculum, we should segregate the skill development in different segments. One is the handicraft side. We need a different skilled people for the handicrafts. And manufacturing, there is a different skilled people. And the service sector, they are quite different. And entrepreneurship skills, they are totally different. We have to segregate it. And what I have seen in the institutions, the technical institutions, this has not been taken care of. Being myself from the manufacturing sector, because as of today, what is being provided by the skill development, the technical institution, we don't get anything. For us, there is nothing on the grid. For that, I will try to put my words for the curriculum, that how the future curriculum should be. As long as the manufacturing sector is there, if the micro SMEs and small industries will not upgrade within the next 5 to 10 years, I am sure, I caution everyone, more than 70% of our industry will lose. Those will lose because they are not going to sustain, they are not going to compete in the consumer market. technology machines has to be indebted with the industry at the micro level. But for that, it's not only the technology machines, it's not only the numerical machines which work. No, it is the knowledge behind that. That comes from the skill development. We need those skills. Even this time, if I say presently, if we have a computer numerical controlled any machine, we don't have the available skill here. We need the very good, highly skilled draftsmen, but who have not the knowledge only the CAD, AutoCAD, but knowledge of the CAM softwares. Because industry does not need CAD, it is only just for designing. It is not required for manufacturing, it is not complete solution for the manufacturing. So we need the softwares, we need skilled people who are good in the CAM softwares, who can understand how manufacturing is being done. But we are not getting any CAM softwares experts or skilled people available. I'm saying now, another part is if we have these machines, we don't have the skilled people for this installation or for giving the service to our resources for those machines. I think in this time, in the Juvenile National, we have more than 700 to 800 CNC machines in place. But I don't think there is a single one person who is highly skilled, who can provide service to these machines, to these small micro industries. Not a single one. And they are the basic machines. They are not the machines with the ATCs. So, because ATC machines require much more better controlling systems. And what happens because of that? That the optimizations in the manufacturing we are using. I think what I have assessed, being an entrepreneur, I think we are not optimizing the CNC machines beyond 5 to 10%. Not more than that. Because we don't have the signal. So this is the future. We have to segregate. Even the manufacturing, we are just only focusing on the service sector. But service sector cannot help our nation. We don't have even a single operating system which has come from our country. We are dependent on the softwares, the operating systems which are from other countries. And what happens here? Because we have again a problem with that, we have a security problem. When we build our product design, we have a security problem. There is no concept of open source softwares. There is no concept, and it is available, but it has not been introduced in our technical institutions, which is the need of the hour, so that all the softwares can be developed as per our own requirements. So there is no security threat. So these are the most important things what we look at at the micro level industry. No doubt, the medium and the corporate industries, they have their own setups, they have all these facilities because they can, but for micro and small industry, they have a big contribution to the GDP of the nation. So we have to think of them. We have to think of their growth. We have to make them competitiveness. They should have to compete the products which are coming from the other countries. So we have to go to the curriculum like that so that it really satisfies the need of the manufacturing sector. I think there's a lot to say on this. There's a lot of things which are mostly more technical, which I don't think that is required here to debate here. And I think we have to take a new look on our curriculums and have a new beginning on this campus. And one more thing there was, I was here that you was about that secret of the universities we are talking about. Good, that's a requirement, but it takes time. But we have the NITs, we have the universities which work after 5 years, those infrastructures just open. 5 बजे तक तो सुबह मॉर्निंग से आते, 5 बजे तक तो दिन तो चला गया, तो यूनिवर्सिटी बंद हो गई, NIT बंद हो गया, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस बंद हो गए. उनका जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऑलरेडी लगा, we can keep a small cells there and we can use those that infrastructure already in place. Why not use that? That's all what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for highlighting the importance of diversification into different sectors to have a holistic approach. Yeah. To close this discussion, I'll just like to invite each of our panelists to share one or two key lessons or takeaways that German education should keep in mind while it embarks on this journey of designing a curriculum. We start with this.
Again, going back to financial services, I would say that German has huge amount of potential. Right? The industry itself has huge amount of potential, and then within JNK, because if you want to be a nano entrepreneur and you want to be in financial services, there's a lot of opportunity. The other thing is you don't need to actually have capital. You can say actually if you have a laptop, you can work from home. If you have a laptop, you have a mobile, you can work from home. There are in terms of SHGs in our country, the women entrepreneurs that actually need a lot of skills to push India forward, the micro entrepreneurs that you were talking about, sir. All of them really need a lot of financial knowledge to push them forward. That financial knowledge can actually come from the youth, who don't then need to necessarily invest a lot of money in starting their business. You can sit in Kashmir and you can service India. There is a problem. That's one good part of financial services, right? You can actually sit in one place and service not just people in India but even outside if you choose to expand your business. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. Just in terms of jobs, there are a lot of opportunity. In terms of micro entrepreneurship and nano entrepreneurship, there's a lot of opportunity. So I would simply say that let's take away the mindset that if you are sitting here, you only have to service this geography. So that's the point that I would really like to make. You don't have to service just this geography. You can service India is open to you, the world is open to you. You just need to think a little differently is what my closing comments would be. Thanks, Vijay.
Thank you so much.
So I have two suggestions to make here, and both of them are actually outside skills. The first one is that if you are actually looking at future skills in JNK University, looking at youth of JNK to take up future skills and work in them or study them. So my first suggestion would be to fix the education. When I give the example of that so many people don't even go through education, I just want to add on some more information that those who actually do 12th, however, almost 80% go into social sciences and others where there are no jobs. Only 20% in this country take up STEM. So you have to look at education. And the second thing I want to say that even 8th class pass cannot read or do a sum for class 2, but you go to class 2. So if you're looking at future skills, then look at education very seriously. Second thing, good thing is that curriculum and all, don't look at anything else, but look at the industry itself for curriculum. And I think it is the industry which gives the market recognition to that skill. And fortunately, the skill list I wrote out, I spoke of, most of them you don't require a physical infrastructure. You can do them online, you can do with these educational institutions like Coursera and others. So, a lot of them will not require a physical exception. So, these are two things which I wanted to suggest.
Thanks. Yes, please.
So again, an example, I'm part of the task forces, task force committee for AVTC sector. And what we implemented very similar to what Mr. Mahendra Singh is saying. We said today in the 6th grade, post 6th grade, we should have an exam which is called the Junior MECAN, so from the Media and Entertainment Skill Council. We said let's have that exam so that we can identify people who are creative. right? Why do they need to go through the whole thing? And if they have to do the whole thing, then let's start giving them more skills as they progress during their vacations, etc. So I think competencies is something that we need to start working upon. Second thing is, whatever the curriculum that the industry prescribes, again, when said, is the thing to look at it, because trends will change so fast. As I said, first year of taking admission, 60% of job roles will be not even existing, right? You've seen data entry operators and all those roles, correct? Third thing is, we have to ensure that there are certain characteristics given to our students as part of the curriculum. The first is learnability. As our Honorable Prime Minister also says, skill, upskill, reskill, right? You only get a job. People don't look at whether how much of code you can write. No, they will look at fundamentals. Next thing they will look at how are you a quick learner, are you a fast learner, are you able to understand things. That's the second thing. Third thing is adaptability. COVID has taught us adaptability, which is again very, very important. Curriculum should build things where you put people in a team, keep on changing the team again. Right? Small things can be done in the regular education system itself, can be done to teach adaptability. How adaptable you are to a situation. Third is agility. How quickly you can adapt to change, how quickly you can do things. Right? I think the faculty members was a typical example where during COVID, of course, work from home kind of a thing was fine. But initially in Telangana, if I look at it, I have seen classes being conducted by professors where they are facing, the board, writing on the board, initial first few days, and the students are just seeing their backs, right? Then immediately they changed. They started, putting presentations, saying, okay, you do the pre-read and all this. So how quickly, how agile you are not adapting this thing. And fourth is resilience, right? How quickly you get up. You've fallen down, you have a problem, how quickly you can get up and start running again. And these are the things that are going to be the future of skills. Today, we have NASCOM Future Skills Platform, right, as he rightly said. Everything, you don't require infrastructure for everything. And of course, again reiterating that curriculum it should not be a tick in the box scale. Nahi, mere paas 80 ghante hain, I have to cover from here to here. Whether the students understand, doesn't matter. So if we are able to, implement these things, I think our youth will be much better empowered and lead the country to development.
Thank you so much, sir. Over to Mrs. Zoe.
Mr. Sinha has already what he has said. I do support that because for the placement in the industry never thinks of these certifications. We never care of certifications. We care about the talent, the potential. Nothing else. So we have to focus on the talent, on the creativity, how much potential our students have, and in which area we have to segregate them accordingly in different trades. So my humble request is to all the here who are in charge of the technical institutions, keep your training programs directly for the youth, for the trainees, directly with the industry. Because practical is very important. And second thing, I do support, because what industry today doing, we don't take full time. Some areas we don't take full time physical placements. We don't take. Even I, as a micro industry, I have the technical people who are doing my job. They are outsourced. we have given them our own emails. And they would count us. But whatever the requirements we need, for example, I will say one example. I'm this manufacturing this modular kitchens for the last 12 years. So we have to get the site measurements. I don't have any person from that engagement. We have people, they are outsourced. They have an email. And whatever our bookings are coming, they are coming from the website. So the mail goes to them, they go to the site, they send us details, we never see them. So this is trend. So it is not only that we are only thinking of the physical placements. Now, there is an option we can do through online. That is an option. And people do earn because this time also, because we know there are lot many employments which are through online. Even not in India, they are out. This youth, they are employed outside. This might guess that there are so many options, and only the employment is on the person who has the potential, who has the creativity, who has learned. And I feel as an entrepreneur, a person who has not enjoyed his profession, he has not really enjoyed his life. Thank you.
Just quickly checking if Professor Mona is online. Thank you so much to all the panelists for sharing your insights and brought in a lot of anecdotes that could really relate us to building a future-ready curriculum. So thank you so much.